Hello and welcome everyone, it is me, TheLaval, also known as the Power to Do List, back for you with another video. And kind of as mentioned in my 100 sub Q&A, today I'll be answering to Igknight's question of what my favorite decks of each archetype and each attribute and type are. And yeah, I'd say we start with the attributes and get right into it. Starting with the probably easiest and most obvious one. My favorite attribute for the Earth archetype would be Morphtronics. But just like with the machine type, I am probably going to, give you some alternatives here, which in this case would be Machina, because Machina is also a very fun deck, I think, that is also mostly Earth. But yeah, Morphtronics are definitely the easy pick here. For water, it would be sharks. Sharks are my favorite animals IRL. So sharks are, obviously one of my favorite decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! I need to build that at some point, definitely, because on the one hand it's not that expensive, and also on the other hand it's kind of fun, even if it's, just a very simple XZ spam deck. But it can run Torrential Tribute, and that is a very good card, especially in combination with something like Fury of Kairu Shin. For the fire attribute, we would be talking about TheLavals. Yeah. This is also kind of a no-brainer, I guess. TheLaval was the deck that gave me my gamer tag. I think it's still, a very fun deck, even if it's very focused on, drawing into Rekindling. But the new support definitely has helped to get to that and to, make it a bit less, I didn't draw Rekindling and now I have to scoop. Now you at least have some ways to dig for your Rekindling. For wind, I do not play that many wind decks, I noticed while, kinda putting down the archetypes for this. But my favorite wind archetype would be Shinobirds. Very unique deck in that it is a ritual spirit archetype. Your focus on, making Shino Baron, Shino Baroness, bouncing your opponent's cards, and then swinging in for damage. And you protect yourself with a continuous trap from battle damage. Very fun deck indeed, also very cheap to be honest, and definitely something I do enjoy. Next up we have the light attribute, and this one is gonna be something I haven't talked that much on the channel before. It's gonna be Fables. Fables are a very old hidden arsenal archetype that I've recently seen some support in Blazing Vortex. They're kinda like light Dark Worlds, only with the small difference that Fables also trigger when they are discarded as a cost, which is, kind of a big difference to Dark Worlds, because Dark Worlds have to be discarded by a card effect, which is why a lot of Dark World cards are weirded a bit different from, other cards, like, Dark World Reinforcements, for example. But Fables are definitely a very fun deck, can be a bit bricky, but you are able to make, quite a few synchros. The deck, of course, pairs very well with Dangers, and we all know how good those are. Yeah, and with this out of the way, we are moving on to the Dark attribute. Sadly, I can't fit Monarchs into any of these, but for the Dark attribute, I definitely have to say that Time Thieves take the cake. Time Thieves are a very fun and unique Xyz deck. Very control heavy, focuses on attaching different card types to something like Redoer or Double Barrel, and uses Perpetua to kind of, keep it going. Has like a lot of tech ability. You can play this in combination with Raid Raptors, Phantom Knights. There are numerous variants of this deck, because it's very unreliant on the rest of your deck, and you can do really a lot of it. And that is probably why I like it so much, and I have picked up a couple of, you know, Time Thief's cores in my time, but that is besides the point. And for the Divine Attribute, this is kind of a newer revelation, I do have to say. Previously, Slifer was my favorite god card, but Obelisk really grew on me, to be honest. Not only, you know, in testing with the deck, which is, you know, why I ended up getting the Obelisk structure deck, but Obelisk would definitely be my favorite Divine Beast. Going down the types, this is in Edo-Pro's order. Some of these are going to be a bit more loose than other ones, since I do not play all the types that much spread out. For warriors, it would definitely be the Infernoble or kind of Gemini equip stuff that we got last year in Toon Chaos and started getting in Rise of the Duelist. I think Infernobles are a really interesting deck, and I do like the equip focus. For spellcasters, it would be Endymion. As I've mentioned, this was kind of, you know, my planned pendulum deck that I wanted to build for a while. But I've never really ended up finishing it. But I still think that the spell counter gimmick is very neat and very fun. And that was like the initial reason why I wanted to get Endymion, because I like the spell counter mechanic. Moving on to Fairy. For fairies, it would be Agents, not Sulfur Cord. I do have like a bit of history with Agents since when I was 11 or 12. I used to read like a card game magazine that had like, you know, news relating to Yu-Gi-Oh! And other card games. But I think mostly Yu-Gi-Oh! If I recall correctly. And the magazine had like a competition running that you could submit your own cards and get those cards printed in a issue of said magazine, and get like a small prize. And the prize I got for winning that contest once was a fairly decent, you know, box of cards in general. But that box contained the Lost Sanctuary structure deck, which is why I'm kind of hyped for the revamped one, because I would like to see Agents, you know, in a newer, more polished light. And I definitely think that the revealed cards for Agents look really cool and make me definitely very exciting for maybe picking up 3 of that structure deck once that drops, and building Agents. For Fiend, I have put down 2 because Fables are not a pure Fiend archetype, and I've done this for, you know, multiples of these. But yeah, Fables would be, you know, an easy pick, but since Fables are not completely Fiends, I have also put down Evil Eye. Evil Eye is also a very cool control-heavy deck that focuses on making your monsters really tough to out using Evil Eye of Selene. And then your spells and traps gain bonus effects if you have Evil Eye of Selene on the field. It's really fun, to be honest. And I really like the art style, that it has kind of this lore with, you know, the battle between Cerziel and Medusa going on, which is kind of cool. Zombies, I don't play many zombie decks, but I do have to say that I think Skull Servants are a very fun deck, especially with like the new card from Blazing Vortex, White Baking, which is like a foolish burial and then some. But you know, definitely summoning a King of the Skull Servants and punching your opponent really hard is kind of fun. And I think it's really interesting to see that like an old vanilla monster sparked such a long-lasting deck that is even getting support in 2012. And it's probably, you know, something I definitely can appreciate about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! For all its faults. Getting to machines, as mentioned, I've already talked a bit about Machina. Very fun deck, very techable. You know, definitely something I do enjoy experimenting with, but also the Dark Machine stuff. Bandit Keith's deck, essentially, around the coin flip dragons. Desperado Barrel Dragon is a really fun card that I also really like, you know, experimenting with in general, but in the end we all know which machine deck takes the cake for me, and that would be Morphtronics. For the Archetype, this is the thing of, do unreleased archetypes count in the TCG I'm talking? Because if they do not, it would be Paleozoic, because I think Paleozoics are not only artwork-wise very interesting, because these old Paleozoic era creatures do look kinda cool. Definitely really neat, and also, you know, the trap monster gimmick is kinda cool, where, you know, you have the Paleozoics in grave, and if you activate another trap, they summon themselves. But if a deck that is not released counts in the TCG, it would easily be Sue Ships. I've been enjoying every reveal for Sue Ships so far. I've been testing with the deck. As soon as, you know, new cards come out, you know, what changes, to be, you know, up to date with it. I'll definitely pick up Sue Ships once that drops. It's a very fun Xyz deck focused on a vanilla monster and Rise Sue Ship. And you essentially make Xyz monster out of Rise Sue Ships and some different other Sue Ships. And the Xyz monsters grant you benefits if you stack the right ingredients for your bigger Sue Ships, which is really neat and really interesting, and I do like that a lot. For the Pyro type, I have again put down TheLaval, but because TheLaval is not a fully Pyro typed deck, I have also put down Volcanics. Probably one of, if not my favorite, pure GX era deck, even if I do think that Chaz deck was a mess that was beautiful. But I think Volcanics are neat, you know, quick play board wipes are always fun. One of the reasons why I like Torrential and Machina Citadel. But yeah, Blaze Accelerator Reload with Scatter Shot being essentially the same thing is definitely cool, and I do think that Volcanic Doomfire is a really interesting and cool boss monster with a very unique summoning condition, you know, by sending a Blaze Accelerator from the field to the graveyard, so that is definitely also cool. For rocks, I do not do a lot with solid rocks, brother. That's why I've put down Magnet Warriors. I've kinda, you know, tried building these a bit in Duel Links for the fun of it. But I do like the artwork of Magnet Warriors, since, you know, not only is it a very iconic and old archetype, but I also like the concept of having like these three Magnet Warriors that may merge into a bigger one, which is really cool. Going on to Winged Beasts and Shino Birds Strike again. Again, yeah, Ritual Spirit archetype, you want to bounce your opponent's stuff, and then, you know, protect yourself with a continuous trap and do the same thing on the next turn again. For plants, it would be Rika. I do not play many plant decks, but lately I've been playing a bit with a friend of mine again. And I've played Rika for a couple of matches and kind of touched up on that deck. I've made like a video about it a year ago. And I do have to say, Rika is a lot of fun. It's a tribute for special summon, kind of mid-range plant deck. It makes great use of Lone Fire Blossom and has a built-in tribute engine and consistency engine in Rika Petal, which is accessible by 1-for-1. And we don't need to talk about Teardrop the Rika Queen, which is a amazing rank 8 boss monster that once per turn can attach a material to tribute a monster on the field, which is very good removal and also a great interruption. So yeah, that is also an easy pick. And for the insect type, I have Crawlers. Crawlers are a very fun flip-based deck. You mostly want to make some Xyz. Those Xyz mostly float if they leave the field, and then get more of your Crawlers onto the board and slowly overwhelm your opponent by putting more and more Crawlers onto the board. Deus Ex Crawler as your boss monster is a skill drain, which kinda definitely helps a lot when, you know, pushing for games or trying to secure advantage in a game, which is kinda great. And I do enjoy Crawlers, also a deck that is very cheap to get. So yeah. Moving on to Thunder, which would be Watts. I do still have a lot of those cards lying around from back in the day when I was playing in school. It's kind of like main deck OTK Mothtronics, but with less punching power and more soft locking your opponent. A lot of WOD cards have stun or soft locking effects, and you have some WODs that can attack your opponent directly to, you know, poke your opponent and chip them down. I think the art style is kind of cute because it's just, you know, essentially taking normal animals and turning them into electric creatures. It's essentially Pikachu with the archetype, which is kind of neat. And yeah, with that we move on to dragons, and this one is probably easily gonna be Red Eyes. Yes, this is not a pure dragon deck, but probably the closest thing I have to like another dragon deck I like would be Dragon Maids, since those are kind of fun. But back to Red Eyes. I like Red Eyes from like the artistic point. These, you know, fiery black dragons, which are kind of cool. I think Joey is an amazing character, definitely my favorite one from Duel Monsters. So yeah, especially the burn variant or, you know, more fusion focused builds I think are really fun. And you definitely can have some fun with this deck even without Dragoon. And I've talked about Chaz a bit before, and when it comes to the beast type, Chaz comes in again because my favorite beast deck are actually Ojamas. Ojamas were the first deck in Duel Links that got me to gold. Shocker, I know, but at that time we didn't have something like Mothtronics. And as soon as that deck dropped, I got to platinum. But I think Ojamas are very fun, you know, swapping attack points and locking your opponent's monster zones. Ojama Emperor is a very interesting link monster. And yeah, even if Ojamas are mostly, you know, nowadays used as an engine for, you know, ABC Armed Dragon or VWXYZ Armed Dragon decks, they still can be a lot of fun on their own. Yeah. Ojamas it is. For Beast Warriors, I didn't really have an answer, but I do have to say that I like the look of the Phantom Beast archetype, and maybe those could get kind of, you know, expanded on in the future, because at the moment it's a very battle-heavy Beast Warrior deck that has, like, of course, you know, access to a lot of amazing cards since fire formations exist. So yeah, we'll see, I guess. For dinos, I would have to say Jurex. Jurex are also like a very old Hidden Arsenal archetype that is very battle focused. You mostly just want to summon Gwyber, beat over something, summon a tuner, make a synchro, and that's basically about it almost. Also a deck that hasn't seen support in a very long time, but maybe with, you know, the increase of legacy support, we might see a change to that. Fish is again going to be sharks. Fish is like also a weird type that I don't touch on a lot. But yeah, sharks, very fun. Xyz spam deck. My favorite animal, IRL, which is, you know, something that makes this an easy pick. For the reptile type, I've put down aliens and venoms because I really couldn't decide on which one, because I think both are like very unique and very well executed counter spreading decks. Although venoms are kinda more up there for having an instant win condition towers monster and Venomenaga, which is kinda cool. And also a not too terrible counter trap, I think. What's it called? I'll put it on screen, I'll edit that in. But yeah, aliens and venoms are definitely really cool, and I do like those decks. Next up we have Time Thieves. Already talked about this very unique control Xyz deck. Focus on attaching multiple card types to your redo and double barrel. Quite consistent, very techable. Can only recommend looking into it, to be honest. For the Wurm type, I actually have nothing. There's like one or two, there's two worm archetypes. I have not looked into Metaphys or Yangzings. And I am not going to play True Draco. Fuck those. So we are going to pass on Worm. And for the Cyber's archetype, I have just written Cyber's Quantum Dragon deck because that card is amazing. I know it belongs to Yusaku's deck. He's playing like this generic Cyber stuff with Code Talkers and everything. So every Cyber's deck that makes Cyber's Quantum Dragon is probably up there because I really like that card. But yeah, this has been it. I hope Igknight, you got a extensive answer to your question. I definitely enjoyed, you know, having more time to talk about this than the couple of minutes I would have had in the 100 sub special. And you guys should definitely let me know down below what your favorite archetypes for the attributes and the types are. Maybe you guys have something for worms. I'd definitely be, you know, surprised to hear what Yangzings or Metaphys do. I think Metaphys just banish themselves and then gain effects of that. But yeah, I will thank you guys very much for watching if you stuck through all of this. And I will see you guys again next time. But until then, goodbye.